everyone, welcome to Film Freaks.
A show for fun, film, and all things entertainment.
I'm Jesse Galan.
And I am Abi Flores. And we are here with a new addition to our Luke Cage recap, where we are going to be looking at episodes 3 and 4.
So if you haven't watched it, this is your 3-second warning for the spoilers. 3, 2, 1, you've been warned.
And we are going to dive into episode 3, which is pretty much Power Man's rise to fame, where he decides to step out and become Power Man and start doing these heroic acts after, Pop dies and all these things are happening, and he feels like, you know what, Reva, I gotta do it. This is who I am, and let's get to work. So what'd you think, man? Episode 3.
Dude, again, I can't emphasize enough how much I'm digging this show. Episode 3, like you said, was the Power Man introduction, or at least his rage or his character starts, you know what, I need to do something about this. And I'm digging it. I love the music. I love the montages with the live music that you see that's happening in the nightclub, and just everything just falling into place. I'm loving it.
Absolutely, yeah. It was really good. Obviously, again, another episode that was awesome. This one kind of had a metaphoric little throws in there, just with Domingo and him talking about the crocodile and the other guy smooching off him, and he kept them eating Milky Ways and just like dropping them on the ground there for him. So it was good. I love Domingo and Cottonmouth, like their tension, and how Power Man, Mr. Luke Cage, is kind of creating this through the shadows of like, dude, I'm gonna do this. And even earlier in the episode where he talked using chess, saying that, you know what, I'm not going to go straight after the king. I'm going to take out his pawns, his knights, his rooks. So I love how they use that metaphor in the beginning and then use the whole Milky Way thing at the end. Those little drops, nuggets there that I thought were really cool. So
and going off of that too with the metaphors, I really love how everything where, like, he was like, there was a part in the beginning where there's a kid, and he's wearing his hoodie, and he points the gun over the back of his head, and and he's like, nobody calls me that. I still have enough energy to kick somebody's ass for calling me that, and all this other stuff. And I love how they're very much empowering this character and the black culture, and I'm just really it's so rich. It's just great.
Yeah, and this episode gives us like him kind of breaking out and using his superpowers, which he doesn't really use it. Like you can't hurt the man.
Right.
But you see him going into Fort Knox and just destroying the place, putting people through concrete walls, and bullets ricocheting off of him. So we finally starting to get our first like super hero kind of part of the show, where for episodes 1 and 2 were all set up, which was amazing. Right. So you see him set up and setting up to do this, and it was great. Like I think it's wonderfully done, and you can tell, even though he can crush these guys like no problem, like he does enough just to immobilize them, because he's not a killer. Like he just wants to clean up the streets, and we both kind of really can see him kind of becoming Pop, the new Pop of the show of Harlem and all that. So. Episode 3 was awesome. I loved it. Anything else to add?
Oh, no.
No, you're good?
Hopping into episode 4.
Yeah, episode 4. Then, to me, I thought we watched episode 3 and 4, and I thought it was just episode 3 because I was just so in it. And I was like, okay, it's done. And it was actually 2. Like, it just flowed together so good, and I was just so wrapped up into it that I didn't even realize we watched 2 episodes.
Yeah, so ending off with episode 3, it is like a conjoined episode, so it's fluid outside of the fact that you actually have to hit enter to watch the next episode on Netflix. But it ends with Cottonmouth throwing a giant missile with the rocket launcher into the building, Chinese restaurant, and blows up, and then it starts with Power Man being unconscious on the ground, and then it kind of like slow camera pans zooms into his face, and then you jump into the true origin story.
Right.
So episode 3 was actually, I guess, like a sense of an origins, the superhero origins, versus where he got his power and his history origins in this episode.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was pretty much all flashback scenes of, he's saying, the origins of him in jail and what happened and where he came from. You get to hear his real name, Carl Lucas, which was pretty awesome. We both didn't even know that was his name. Like I literally thought his name was Luke Cage.
Same here. Right.
So it was good. Like all the jail scenes were really awesome. His interaction with Squibbles, I think, something like that. And just seeing how he was so hurt and betrayed from what happened, being a police officer, bringing him in here, and just this lonely road of his starts, where I want to be by myself, and obviously that continues and gets worse after his wife dies and all that. But you can see the starting of where he really becomes that person in the struggle, trying to break away from that, where where he starts in episode 3.
Yeah.
So,
and like it's just not any prison cell.
Right.
I didn't want to. You brought it up, but you didn't. It's Siegel, which is the biggest maximum security prison in Georgia, and he's a cop. So in this story, he's a police officer who gets either not blackmailed, but like backstabbed and set up to fail, and goes to prison. And they send him to the worst possible prison that any cop can go to.
Right.
And he even makes like a comment where he's like, "They don't send cops here, but they sent me."
Right.
So it was a total and complete setup.
Yeah.
And then in his interactions with Beckham,
Yeah.
and I love when he goes into solitary confinement, and then Beckham comes out and he's like, "Hey, there's a fighting pit. I can make it worth your while. You fight for me,
Right.
and I will provide more rations. Nobody will touch you. I'll leave you alone.
Right.
You have to fight for me." And my favorite line, they're like so far in the movie, he was like, "That's how a slave views it," and it's kind of like that metaphor where he may be in solitary confinement, but he's a free man, and falling under Beckham's laws, if you will, of being in prison and having to do what he asked him to do was a form of slavery.
Right.
And it was just such a great metaphor and setup, and just shows his true character of who Luke Cage is.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. It was great. I mean, you see him kind of losing control, spiraling down into this fighting mentality where he's just turning into this beast and just kind of like taking out the competition. And then what's his name? Beckham, you said, the guard guy. He goes and he betrays him. Then they pretty much kill him. They leave him on his deathbed, and this weird kind of Weapon X program bath looking thing that they put him in, that supposedly was only supposed to help him with rapid healing, ended up like giving him these special abilities where we still don't know exactly like how that came about. Like I know that the guard messed with it, or I don't know what he tried to do, like unplug it or speed it up or made it worse. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but and you can also see that Reva wasn't being completely honest about knowing what was going on, because right at the end she says, like, I'll explain it to you and let you know exactly what was all going on. So it was cool. Like you see the beginnings of their relationship in the cell, as her being the psychologist and him just kind of struggling to open up, but them kind of creating a bond. And she helped him and he helped her. And it was cool. Like, you see him shave everything, and then he comes out all clean.
Although, I got to say, I want to know what kind of shave he was doing. Because I was impressed. I'm like, he had this little cheap razor-looking thing. He had a beard bigger than mine.
Right.
Big old afro, and all of a sudden, he comes out clean shaved. I'm like, bro, just trying to do one side of my beard, I would have to use, like, 3 shaving.
Right. I don't think having, like, rock-hard skin is going to... If anything, that'll probably hurt the use of a razor, so... That was probably the biggest gripe of these 2 episodes, because again, it's so hard to be nitpicky with these episodes, because everything so far that I've noticed, and maybe I have to go back and watch it once we go through it, but there hasn't really been any big issues. Like I loved his, like you're saying, his claim to start doing these superhero acts in episode 3, and then you see him in episode 4, like you see his true origins of what happened being in the jail. I guess the other part to me is now that we're 4 episodes in, which also revealed that we have a traitor on our hands with Detective Scarf. What we've gotten from him and that character, he's definitely to me been the weakest link of what we've gotten in the show so far. Contrary to how I feel about Cottonmouth, I really like what we've gotten from him and the chip on his shoulder of how he feels about where he came grown up in, about being called Cottonmouth and how much he hates that now. I love the dynamic of that character and what he's been giving us, and I kind of look forward to how him and Luke Cage are going to be facing off, eventually leading into Diamondback himself, who I'm sure they're saving for like later episodes.
Yeah, and don't get that misconstrued with Detective Scarf being the weakest link of the show. Like
Right.
he's not. It's not that he's a terrible actor or the character is terrible. It's just that the show is so good,
Right.
and if we have to narrow it down to from hierarchy from good to bad, that character is the weakest link.
Right. I mean, I much rather still have Pop in the mix. I loved him, that character, and as Jesse stated previously, like that dude's a seasoned veteran. So we've seen him in other stuff, and that character was awesome.
Right.
And
right.
then
and,
they show him in what was the guy's name? Mr. Fish, I think, the chess
oh, yeah,
player.
the chess player. Yeah.
And how they show them still in the shop, and I can see how Luke Cage can probably take over that role, being Pop and using the barbershop for youngins in the future.
Kind of like a hideout, but not so much a hideout because
Right.
from my memory serves correctly, the character doesn't really have a secret
like an alter
identity.
ego kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then they kind of falls along the lines of the character being charismatic and very helpful and
Right.
wanting to help people. So I totally see his headquarters being the barbershop.
Yeah, we've loved everything that we've seen so far. Like the show's just been awesome. I can't wait, getting deeper into it. I mean, it's 13 episodes and we're only 4 in, and it's just freaking awesome. So
we
yeah,
can't emphasize enough how great the show is. If you
Absolutely.
guys haven't checked it out, you guys have to. And if you listen to us with all the spoilers alert and you
Yeah.
still haven't watched it, I mean, it's still worth it because it's that damn great.
absolutely.
So, if you have anything else there,
Yeah, check it out. Let us know what you guys think. Thanks, guys.
take it easy.
Well, hey, Film Freaks, if you guys enjoyed watching our video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up
Don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe.
and go ahead and check out some of our other videos. Do it now!
What's the matter with you? Do it now.
Do it!
It's not the tumor.